Well, hello and welcome. It's the Women's Hockey World Cup show, and I've got another great lineup of guests today. We've got two returners to the show, Jill Boone from Belgium. Hi, Jill.
Hi.
And today, you're not in your car, you're not on the hockey pitch, you're here, and we've got your full attention, which is fantastic. It's great to see you. We've got Dan Strange, top commentator on the game. He's been how can I put this politely, giving his forecasts, which haven't always been 100% accurate, but we're going to chat about that, and he's going to get it better for the next few matches, I'm sure.
It's all about fun. It's all about creating debate, should we say, even if you get it wrong.
Absolutely. And bearing in mind, Jill and Dan and our previous guest, Jana Muller-Wieland, were all a little bit damning about New Zealand's chances. We thought we'd embarrass them by getting Samuel Holland-Goad on the show, who is the New Zealand video analyst. Hi, Sam. How are you?
Hey, good, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
Absolute pleasure. And please do pass on our congratulations to your team, because New Zealand sitting pretty at the top of the pools, and you've got a few rest days now before the next round of action.
Yeah, we play the winner of Germany or South Africa on Tuesday. So yeah, we've got a couple of days rest, and yeah, we're gonna go again.
Brilliant. Before I pop back to the other two, just a little bit about you, just for the sake of the viewers who don't know you. You've actually come across from another sport, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right. So I started my career in rugby in New Zealand, working in the NPC competition for North Harbour Rugby, and then switched codes actually. Went over to rugby league, and was with the Warriors in the NRL for about six years. Yeah, was lead analyst there. It was a pretty crazy time, because obviously in 2012 we got stuck in Australia as a team. We went over for 3 days and didn't in March and didn't come back till October. So that's another story in itself.
A whole new podcast.
yeah, save that story for another time. And then ended up getting the opportunity to jump across to hockey, and go to the Olympics last year. So that's a real quick summary of my journey so far.
Yeah, I've just one question on the back of that, really. I mean, what has been your impression of hockey as opposed to rugby in terms of intensity and the whole shebang? What are the differences between the two sports for you as a video analyst?
Yeah, sure. Firstly, I just want to say hockey is an amazing sport. To be honest, in New Zealand, obviously with rugby being so dominant, I didn't really give hockey a look when I was a kid, but I regret that I didn't play. I've kind of fell in love with the sport, to be honest. In terms of intensity and just hockey in general, I'm impressed every day watching these girls run around, because the intensity is insane. Rugby, you get lots of rest and lots of breaks. I think from memory, it's actually only about 35 minutes of play time, like actual in-ball play time in rugby. The rest are stoppages. Obviously, hockey, there's not many stoppages apart from PCs and all that. So, and obviously once you score a goal. So yeah, it's an amazing sport, and wish I got involved earlier, to be honest.
Yeah, well, we'll talk more about your role a little bit later on, but I want to turn to Jill and Dan now, and your thoughts on the tournament so far. If we come to Jill first, a Belgian perspective. I mean, you've sort of grown into the event, haven't you? Really?
Yeah, I think so. I think that the game against South Africa, the first game, was a good test. You need to start your tournament right, and they did so. The game against Australia was not disappointed, because I think you play a really good opponent. So, and they tried to play the Australian game, which is going forward, playing quickly and not really thinking. And that's not the Belgium game. I think they're better when they try to move the ball around and play in the midfield and take time and attack and play nice hockey, if I may call it. And if you try to beat Australia playing their game, it's hard. And I think they got a tough lesson out of it, and finishing strong against Japan again, which I'm happy, because I'm going to see them play tomorrow. So selfishly, it's giving me an opportunity to see them play, and I think it was a good lesson for them to for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely upped their performance, I thought, against Japan. It's interesting what you say about their match against Australia, because if you are playing a team like Australia, and they do play this very, very fast forward game of hockey, how do you take the wind out of their sails? Is it simply by getting possession and just running them ragged and making them lose their energy?
Yeah, I think it's hard, and they do it really well. It's not that it's that easy, but I think Belgium has to play on their own qualities. And when they play well, when they move the ball around, when they play in the midfield with Nelen and Struik and getting the ball further up the pitch with speed, but not carrying the ball, I think they would have had a better chance. But I've seen the game. It was all chaos also, and to have that at that moment to say like, okay, just we need a break. We need just to play calm. It's really hard when there is a team that's going forward and running with the ball, and to have then the calmness or the awareness to take it a bit slower. It's hard. It's really complicated.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the beauty of the recent implementation of quarters, isn't it? Because if you've got a team like Australia that is going 100 miles an hour and gets momentum,
yeah,
a break for 2 minutes is a really good way of actually stopping that, isn't it? And that works in your favour a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's different. I coach a men's team and we still play 2 times 35 minutes. And then all of a sudden you realize how little you can say to them.
Yeah.
I think that the quarters help also, in that matter.
Dan, Belgium are going to be playing Chile.
Yep.
That's going to be a really interesting game, isn't it? Because, I mean, we've seen Chile, they're doing an island.
Yeah, the passion they're bringing into this World Cup is something else. The proposals, the goals, the coach in the stand. What do you know? What comes across to me, and I mentioned it on Twitter the other day. We're talking here about an elite competition, and we talk about elite competition all the time. And all the coaches in the build-up, excuse me, all the coaches in the build-up talk about sort of how they manage the elite lifestyle for the players. You can tell for Chile, they're kind of dining at the top table. They can't really believe they're dining at the top table, and they've almost got this refreshing energy to them, which is like, we just can't believe this, and whatever we do is a bonus, which is going to be difficult for Belgium, because Belgium for the last few years, as they've been growing, and the last year or so under Raul, they've been growing as a team, but they're almost, against the top teams especially, they're the underdogs, or they tend to be. And I don't mean that disrespectfully, but that's kind of how they play the game. You know, they take the game to the Netherlands, they take the game to Argentina. Here, they're going to have to be careful, because that's what Chile are going to do to them, you'd imagine anyway. And what they're proving is they can score goals. They might not scoring hatfuls of goals, Chile, but they were 1-1 with the Netherlands. You know.
I've got to say, their goalkeeper, and I thought their defence and their goalkeeper had a really amazing game. Jill, if you were Raul Aarons right now, if you were in the Belgian team right now, what would you be thinking you needed to do in order to make sure of that match against Chile?
I really love to see Chile play also, and I think everything what they're doing is great for women's hockey in general. So it's really great to see them there, and I think they deserve to be out of the pool. It's hard. It's hard to play against a team that has nothing to lose and wants lots of passion, lots of will, and they train a lot also. So it's not to underestimate. What I would say is just to try to play your game. They're supposed on paper to be better, more experienced of that kind of moments too. They have a nice way of playing. I really love them. When Belgium play well, it's really, really cool to see, and it's creative enough, and it's fast, and it's powerful, and just to play their game and to not get frustrated, because Holland didn't score for a long time. And goals are going to come if you keep on playing your game, and to be careful. And I don't think, we as Belgium, we never underestimated anyone because we don't have the right to, and I don't think anyone should, but especially us. So they're going to, I'm pretty sure they're going to face them with a lot of respect, but they will need to be focused all game long. They have a strong corner that is going so fast, a great mentality, defensive work. So be patient and play around. Don't run with the ball. Play around the players and try to make them more tired by, the ball will have to make the most of the work, I think, Saturday.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of audience participation going on here. I've got a comment that's come through that says, for Belgium, this is going to be like a home game. even though they've had to change the venue. Is that absolutely true, though? Because Chile seem to have gained so much support. I mean, anybody neutral, they're going to be cheering for Chile, aren't they? I mean, Dan, you're a great watcher of crowds. What's the atmosphere going to be like in Amstelveen?
I don't know that the Dutch are going to be cheering Belgium.
They're not cheering
Jill can fill us in on that side of the politics, but I'm not sure that the Dutch fans are going to be, if there's a choice between a sort of exuberant, passionate, fun-filled Chile, which is how they are portraying themselves and how they're going about the game. As you say, I think the neutral fans, of which there are going to be a lot of Dutch fans, and they are, what came across to me in Amsterdam last weekend was how utterly proud they are to fill the venues. Like, it's a pride thing. It's, look at it, isn't it great? I think there's going to be a lot of people in there supporting Chile purely because a lot of the fans will have bought tickets from the Netherlands. However, that said, of course, the Belgian fans will have tickets as well. For Chile, if they get their tails up and the crowd get behind them, that's only going to help. The one thing to add to what Jill was saying, I completely agree with everything, is the way Raul builds his teams. And this came on a co-commentary point from Sjoerd Marina the other weekend in Antwerp, where Sjoerd builds it more on attack and sort of getting the players to really lead the attack in that way. He was saying Raul is always defensively minded, and I've no doubt he's going to set the stall out for them, make them difficult to break down, and almost try and frustrate Chile in that way. If Chile can't get into the game, can't get a flow, it makes it easier for Belgium to play their game. And I think that's going to be the setting. But yeah, in terms of the crowd, it's going to be noisy, whatever, because it's a weekend at the Wagner.
Yeah, you've been experiencing that, Sam. What's it felt like to be in the stadium, and particularly when the Dutch are around?
Yeah, it's been great. I've been lucky enough to be there for every game so far. It's part of the job, but it's also quite cool because you get to soak in the atmosphere for what it really is. And it's pretty cool because when the Belgian play at night, when the Dutch play at night, you can see the crowd kind of building all throughout the day. Obviously not so big when the Dutch aren't playing, which is understandable. But yeah, on the days the Dutch are there, it's pretty great. And then just to touch on Chile, yeah, they've been chanting, they've been singing. Yeah, it's been pretty cool to see them get behind the nation.
Yeah, I mean, Dan referenced, and there might be some people watching this who weren't aware of what happened the other day. Chile, one of the Chile players, remind me, Dan, because I've forgotten her name.
Talatea?
Yeah. So her thing was that before the match against the Netherlands, she had said to her boyfriend, "If I score, then I'm proposing to you." And sure enough, she scored, and sure enough, there was a marriage proposal. So that was pretty special as well. But can we now put you on the spot, Sam? Because as I said, we were a little bit damning about New Zealand before the tournament started because we hadn't seen you. We hadn't seen what New Zealand had been doing. What has the team been doing to prepare for this tournament? Because quite clearly, you've been doing an awful lot.
Yeah, an awful lot of inter-squad matches. That's all we can do, really. But we were lucky enough to have a 4-game series against Australia in a Trans-Tasman that was hosted in Auckland. I think we came away with 2 draws and 2 losses there in that series. And then we were lucky enough to get to Europe early, which was really good because obviously, it's been 9 months since we played a game from the last game in Tokyo to when we played Australia. So there's been quite a gap. So it was really important to get over to Europe early, play some games. So we played a few games against Spain, which was really cool. It was just great just to run our game plans and just get on the field with the girls, and also to have Fran and Taryn, they actually play club hockey in the Netherlands, so it was really good for them to come over and just join the group. It was the first time they trained with the group all year, so lots of moving pieces. And then other than those handful of games, we've just been training, working hard, and just doing our absolute best to prepare. I guess we're in the same boat as Australia. Australia were in the same boat, not many games, and they've just been focusing on themselves. And sometimes it's the beauty of it. Like as an analyst, I know we've spent a lot of time focusing on scouting and the opposition. And for the first time in a long time, a team was actually just been able to, okay, well, we can't do anything but focus on ourselves for a bit. So I feel like it's benefited us just that little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really interesting point, being able to focus, because it's a point that, Jill, you've brought up several times about the fact Belgium, because they weren't at the Tokyo Olympics, have been able to focus more on preparing for this tournament. And it's the same, and I guess it's the same with Australia as well. Dan, you've been watching Australia. What are your thoughts on them? I mean, they're looking, as Jules said, they're looking very fast and furious, aren't they?
Yeah, but the one thing I really noted, it was like a clip on social media the other day as well, is Kershaw's tackling at the back. We said about how Belgium will build themselves and build a foundation. The way that Trenny Powell built her, or you always imagine she's going to build her team because she was a fabulous forward, is as an attacking team. And that was kind of the narrative she brought in when she took over. But you can't have a fabulous attacking team and be successful at this level if you haven't got a foundation in defence. The thing is with that team as well, they've got the likes of Nobbs, they've got the likes of Kershaw, who have been around and done it in those sort of positions. So I think that helps them. But they're a team that really impressed me in the pool stages. They're a team no one will want to play, because the Dutch and the Argentinians just haven't experienced playing them since, obviously, for a long time. So I think they're going to be a very tricky opponent going into the knockout stages. People on social media have been telling me I need to change my predictions and make sure they're in the top 4. I did earlier. I'm not going to tell you where in the top 4 I've got them, but I did change that because I do think they're looking. They've just got something in all parts of the pitch at the moment, which is impressive, bearing in mind the time they've had off.
Absolutely. I'm guessing as well, just coming back to you, Sam, and your role in everything, we as nations over here have seen an awful lot of teams playing in the Pro League and being able to assess how they are. You've also had that information, and yet we haven't had the information about you. As a video analyst, how important is that ability to be able to look at the other teams so closely and keep yourself quite a well-guarded secret?
Yeah, obviously, scouting is a big part of any team's preparation. But like I said, it's what you do on the field with your team, with your players. Obviously, if you can have a little bit of information on and try to predict what patterns or structures the other teams are going to play, then obviously you can prep accordingly. But yeah, it's just been one of those funny kind of couple of years or so when it's been very lopsided. Obviously, the European countries have been playing lots of games, so we have lots of information, us not so much. It's like, we would love to play more games and share them more equally, so it's a bit more even, but it just hasn't worked out that way. But we have gone to a stage where all like kind of official test matches are shared and put up on a server for everyone to access. So yeah, it is getting a bit more accessible for countries to have a look at everyone. Moving away from the backhand kind of trades and deals, I'm sure you guys all know it's getting a bit more open now.
Yeah, for somebody, there'll be young people watching this who might be considering a career as a video analyst. I mean, what a great career! Just give us a real potted sort of insight into what you do and what your role is within the within the team.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, obviously I can talk a bit about this, but just to keep it really, really short and sweet, the best part of my job is I get to kind of create or enhance the learning environment within the team. Obviously, all the players and coaches are here to learn and grow and get better and perform at the elite level, and I just kind of help facilitate that. So that's really rewarding, because obviously we study hard, we train hard, we work hard, and to see those performances kind of tick off in events like this is really cool. So yeah, just really short and simple answer, just help create a learning environment for players to grow and perform at their best.
Yeah, and I mean, as an international, Jill, you, as a long-standing international, the role of the video analyst has grown a lot in recent years, hasn't it, from when you began to when you ended your international career?
Yeah, it's crazy how much we need it as players. To get better. Then I'm not talking for the coach and how he does it and what he does with the analysis, but for us as players to be able to see, to analyze, and to get better. That's just what's nice, and what I love about hockey is like it's all about creativity and putting passion, but it's also about analyzing opponents, your game, how to get better, how to get in better positions, and how to be a better version of yourself. From the match before to the next game, and from the year before to the next year. So now it's crazy important.
Yeah, I mean that in itself is a skill, isn't it? As a player, to be able to take that information from the screen and put it into your game. That's a very important part these days.
Yeah, of course, and it's sometimes it's confronting, and I think good analysis or good coaches use the tool to make you better and not to crush you in or your ego. But no, it's something that we learn, I think, as hockey players early on to be able to analyze your mistakes or what you did well, also what works. I think it's important to have a balance in that too. I used to love to watch, for example, goal from all different teams or skills from all different kind of players, because I really believe that you can copy what you see and get inspired by other forwards. And I think Mary is a great example, how she moves in the circle, and to be able to watch and analyze her movements in the circle makes you a better player too. So it's not only about analyzing your game, but also great players out there, and to try to copy them a bit.
Yeah. Sam, the players, when they interact with you, are there different levels of engagement? Do you get some players who are really driven to sit down and watch hours and hours and analyze themselves, and are there others who are, it's a little bit like, okay, but we'll move on?
Yeah, for sure. You have to understand that everyone has different learning styles, and everyone's going to take in information differently. So you're exactly right. Some players want to watch every single second of the whole game. Others just want their 3 things they need to work on, and they get on with it. So sometimes conversations are very short and simple and direct. Others are a bit longer. But the main thing is that I'm very fortunate in a team where they value my role, my position, and yeah, it's pretty rewarding, and it's humbling, and it keeps me working hard and focused.
Absolutely. Right, let's have a look at where the teams are then at the end of the pool stages. So we've got New Zealand, obviously, are through, Netherlands, Australia and Argentina. Dan, your thoughts? The Netherlands, they've been pretty sublime all the way through so far, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I was very impressed how they started against Germany last Sunday. Their pace, their movement off the ball as well as on it, and it didn't quite link up as I think they wanted it to at times. They didn't absolutely sort of smash Chile for 6, but they beat them. They got another 3 points. That's the important thing for them. It's about keeping the quality through the pool stages, because then when you get to knockout hockey, Netherlands know how to play. They kind of showed it in the Pro League with, okay, they didn't win the Pro League, but when they played Argentina, they drew twice, they beat them twice on a shootout. That's the kind of ominous thing with the Dutch. And I tell you what, just the likes of Matler at the moment are just so impressive, that they really do make you sort of sit up and take note and go, they do look impressive. The thing's going to be how they adapt to going down to Terrassa and the change in temperature.
Yeah. And the change in crowd support as well, I guess.
Yeah, completely.
Every single time. Argentina, Jill, what are your thoughts on Argentina? They are, for me, they look as good as they've looked for a long time.
Yeah, they're still really powerful and really impressive. Also more in the attacking D, but also defensively. I think they got better during the tournament. The game against Spain was just crazy. No, I put them as favorite to win the tournament. I think they're doing great, and they look inspired, and Holland too, of course. But they will face probably Belgium on their way, Holland. So
yes, I'm not sure whether I wanted to mention that or not.
Yeah. No, so yes, I think they're playing with. They have that South American passion that Chile also have, and a bit more powerful, and you can see like aggressivity, but in a good way. And they and Granato is like growing also in the tournament, where you say like, oh, she's good, and then she's like, oh no, she's amazing, and now she's like, oh, what did she just do? And
the scary thing there is, sorry, I was going to say, the scary thing there is, Jill, I don't know whether you're talking about Maria or Victoria, because they're both doing that, aren't they?
Well, they're the only player of the match. The only player of the matches from Argentina are the 2 sisters, aren't they? That's been the thing through the tournament. Brilliant.
Yeah, they are fantastic. And the thing about that Argentina team is new styles also keep stepping up as well, don't they? Because you've got the Granatas, you've got the Yankunas, you've got obviously Gorzalani, but others keep just showing their class as well, which is great. I'm not going to embarrass you, Sam, and ask you to talk about New Zealand. I'm going to ask Dan to do that.
Well, I can tell you, our PCD is strong.
Yeah, they really are.
I didn't bring the hat on to eat my hat. You know, it's.
Come on, Dan. Tell us all about New Zealand and how they just weren't going to make it out of the pools.
I genuinely didn't think. I couldn't see how you, and I think Sam, as video analyst, if he was looking with his sort of neutral hat on, would agree. And I've had this conversation with my numerous friends around the globe, going, yeah, no, it's a valid point. I think the thing to say with New Zealand through their pool is it's been an incredibly close pool. They've played well without always dominating. Sam will know the stats on that, but second half against China had majority of possession. England had times where they had possession against them. India came back at them well yesterday. New Zealand got through the games, which is crucial in a tournament. They also had some strokes of luck throughout their matches, which you take, and they go both ways. You get some days, you miss some of the others, or it goes the other way. In the pool stages, they tended, or they seemed to, get certain elements of luck go their way. Brilliant. You take that, you move on with your 3 points if you get them. It's how it now goes for them in the quarterfinal. They could have a day in the quarterfinal where the luck goes against them. I think the most impressive thing for New Zealand here is they've stepped in. It clearly hasn't affected them that much being away from the game. They're a young team. They're a developing team because they've changed to some degree since Tokyo. Obviously, Stacey's no longer there, which is a big hole to fill, and sort of how the team dynamic goes. To win that group is nothing other than impressive. I think there were certain elements or strokes of luck along the way which helped them do that. But Darren and Shay will not care about that because they'll just be building this team positivity, which I'm sure Sam can at least agree with.
Is that right, Sam?
There must be a great
atmosphere, yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think when you're watching the games as a spectator, you can kind of see how it goes. But I feel like when we had our chances, we took them. We were quite crucial or clinical in the circle when we got there, and obviously our defense held up. But we did make it hard for ourselves at stages. But yeah, hopefully we're going to work hard to kind of fix that and kind of play a bit more of a solid game moving into the playoffs.
And Sam, the very best teams build into the tournament, don't they? Which is exactly what the best teams are doing at the moment. Sorry, Dan, you can.
Sorry to jump in. Sam mentioned their PCD as well. That is actually a really good point. Was it Davies on the line, Sam? Post player, just hitting balls for fun. I mean, it was like she's a New Zealand cricketer as well. Batter just knocking them off a around the corner for 4. That is crucial, and that there was no strokes of luck there. That was just quality, and that's practice. It was really something special to watch.
Yeah, for sure. If I just elaborate on that just a little bit, obviously during the Australia series, we conceded a few goals in that exact zone. Obviously, we're aware that there's analysts like me in other countries, so they're going to be PCD flick here. So we obviously made a point of practicing defending that area. Fran, Mary, Liv, Fran, Tessa just spent a good chunk of every training just fending off tennis balls. We're just flicking tennis balls, and obviously it's paid off. So yeah, really pleased for the girls.
Brilliant. I'm going to dive in another listener or viewer's question here. I'm going to direct it to Jill, and then we're going to come into predictions for the next few matches. But Jill, this question has come in. Will the teams that have now got a longer break suffer a break in their momentum? What's your thoughts as a player on that?
Well, I don't know. The structure of the whole tournament is a bit weird. People teams to have to travel, play a game more. Well, I would prefer to stay in my location and have a game less. To break your momentum, I don't think it really exists. It's a long time that you have to fill in, but I think now that the teams are professional enough to deal with it. You train a bit. After 3 games, you can have some little injuries that can be taken care of, and I think the momentum is not broken. I think it's harder to travel to another country, to another pitch, to play one extra game, in fact, before your quarterfinal, than to have a couple of, I'm old, that's maybe why I think like that, but to have an extra 3 days, I think it's good. And give you time to analyze, to chill, to refocus, and to rebuild on the next part of the tournament. So I think the girls are professional athletes, and they will enjoy the break too.
Brilliant. Okay, the time has come for us to think about the next 4 matches and just have a sort of a fun prediction thing here. It's always fun when Dan's involved. Germany, South Africa. What are your thoughts on that one? Come to Dan.
I've given up predicting. No, I haven't. Germany win it for me. Germany were physical against the Netherlands. They've got quality. Lorenz is playing fantastically. I think their crucial player going into knockouts is Schroeder, because she needs to just keep a lid on the old emotions at times. She does tend to get quite het up in games, and actually she's a really important player as well. Lorenz, though, for me, standing out. I think Germany beat South Africa in that one.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I think South Africa have shown, they've shown a huge amount of resilience, but Onothele Zulu has been playing tremendously well. And if she starts to really get on a roll in that game, she could cause a heap of problems for the Germans. But I think I'm probably with you there. I think as well, Pia Martins and Charlotte Stappenhorst, very, very, very big players in that team. Jill, you know Germany well. Just briefly, what are your thoughts on Germany?
Yeah, I think that they're growing also in the tournament, and I think they're favourite to win against South Africa, but it's a bit the same game as Chile and Belgium. You will have to be focused for this whole 60 minutes. They were playing with a lot of passion and giving it all on the field, so it's never easy to play a team like that. But yeah, they're playing well, and like I said, like Nikki Lorenz is playing great and really impressive in the back, and really that leader role. And then you have always Stappenhorst in the front that can score goal like few strikers can. So it's going to be interesting to see them perform and grow in the tournament, because after that they're going to face a different kind of game.
Absolutely. And Charlotte Stappenhorst was so enjoying it the other day. You could see that. We've spoken quite a lot about Belgium and Chile, so we'll move on from that one. But Spain versus India. Sam, have you watched those teams? Have you got any thoughts on Spain and India?
Yeah, obviously India was in our pool. And then Spain obviously in Terrassa. As an analyst, we obviously have to code and watch every game. So I have been just catching up on Spain's games. But yeah, I think that one will be quite close, to be honest. India haven't fired. I don't think they've fired just yet. They have some potential to really kick on if they click into gear. And then yeah, Spain. I think from memory the only loss was against Argentina. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they're obviously playing at home. Bit of a home advantage. Used to the pitch. When we played Spain down there, that pitch was a bit sticky. I don't know if you've heard that before, or comments from players. But yeah, it's a bit sticky and a bit slow. So yeah, they're used to that. India obviously been playing here, not used to that. It's been relatively colder than Spain up here. So yeah, I think Spain might just do it.
Spain might edge it. What are your thoughts on that one, Jill?
Yeah, I think so too. I think they have that big home advantage. Like the field, I've been talking to a couple of players that said that the pitch was really complicated. But I think Spain didn't really, in my opinion, didn't really peak yet. So they're gonna have to play a strong game to win against India. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I think it's gonna be close.
Yeah, I mean, just briefly, I think they're two teams that both have still yet to peak. I don't think we've seen the best of India either. I don't know, Dan, just very briefly on that.
Yeah.
This is a heart versus heart one for me, because I'd love to see the hosts carry on in the tournament, because I think it's great for the tournament. But obviously, I've done a lot of India matches in my time and worked extensively out there. The comment from Sam and Jill, India haven't peaked. Yeah, no, they haven't. India, for me, peaked against Argentina in Rotterdam, where they played fantastically a week after not playing very well against Belgium, and they actually looked settled and they looked explosive and exciting. They haven't peaked in this tournament yet. It's the interesting thing is going to be, was that their peak against Argentina? These two teams in Bhubaneswar early in the year played out, well, at least they played two fantastic games, but one of them was 4-3 with the Belen Iglesias goal, which was the pass forward dink volley over Savita. If we get anything like that level of excitement in this crossover game, it's just going to go off in Terrassa. It's the one I haven't been able to call. I've literally gone through ticking the other three matches off in the crossovers. this one, I think it's going to a shootout.
Ooh, big call. Okay, final match of the crossovers, England versus Korea. Sam, what are your thoughts?
I haven't watched too much of Korea. Obviously, I've coded a few games, but I haven't looked closely. Obviously, England in our pool, and yeah, I feel like they had a good win against China. Obviously, they were disappointed after the result against us, as they dominated most of the possession in that back half of the game. And I think they're coming up. I think they're kicking into gear, and yeah, I think they'll tip Korea.
Okay, Jill, your prediction on that one, England Korea. Any thoughts?
Complicated. Yeah, I would say shootout. Maybe like that. Yeah, it's gonna be complicated, I think. But I think England might have a small advantage. But we'll see how the corner. I think most of the games now are really decided by the corners, which is defensive or offensive, obviously. And England has a really good corner, but it's not really effective for the moment, I thought. So we'll see how they manage to do that.
Yeah, there's a few standout corner takers in this tournament, and I don't think England are quite there yet. But final thoughts, Dan, on that one?
I think crucial player in the game is Lee Jin-min, the goalkeeper for Korea, who's fabulous yesterday. Absolutely brilliant yesterday. I think you've just hit the nail on the head. England's corners at the moment aren't all there. I think they've got a very good foundation at the back. I think the ball needs to move a bit quicker out the back at sometimes and occasionally a bit more precise. And actually, I think the most crucial thing against Korea for them is linking up these exciting front four players. They've got goal scorers in the likes of Howard and Martin. They've got pace and power in the likes of Petter and Eli Rea.
Yeah.
They just kind of need to link it all together. And I think they need to start finding the likes of Tess Howard and Hannah Martin in and around the top of the circle, because you can't score with the ball on the 23. You've got to be in the circle to do it. And they're the players that I think are going to be scoring the goals for them, especially in open play.
Brilliant. Great chat with you all. Thank you so much for that. Jill, enjoy tomorrow.
Yes.
Dan, enjoy it all. Sam, have a great time watching and coding all of those matches. And hopefully we can join all of you again in the next couple of shows. Thank you very much.